Hi. It's still a busy time here in Autistic Towers, so this video will again be a little simpler than usual, and I'll be covering a topic I've been asked to discuss many times before. The title of this video is deliberately controversial, but if you've come here expecting a misogynistic rant about how women can't be autistic or suggesting that women who talk about being autistic in videos, blogs, podcasts and on social media are faking it, then you're going to be disappointed. I want to talk about the idea that there's a gender difference in autism. The concept that there is a male and a female form of being autistic. For a very long time, autism was thought of as being a mainly male thing. It was almost always diagnosed in boys and rarely in girls. But over time, and particularly since the autism spectrum was officially recognised, that has gradually changed. Yet we still see around 4 times as many boys diagnosed as girls. Many learned people have theorised over why that might be. Some have suggested that it may be genetic. They postulate that perhaps in amongst the many genes that may possibly be linked to being autistic, there could be something which favours male physiology. One famous academic put forward an idea that to be autistic was to have a brain that was excessively masculine. It was literally called extreme male brain theory, and it's been the cause of many a chuckle amongst autistic friends, not to mention its fair share of justifiable outrage. This theory rests on the idea that emotional functions, things like empathy, sympathy and theory of mind, are feminine traits, whilst systemising and logical thought are masculine. Of course, we know that such stereotyping of the genders is not only antiquated, it's responsible for untold harm in humanity's history. But nonetheless, some people have clung to the idea for dear life, or at least to prop up their careers until retirement. The most popular idea has been that girls are inherently more social and potentially better at hiding their autistic nature so that they go unnoticed. It's been described by many as female-presenting autism. Supposedly, the female of the species is more readily disposed to social, caring and cooperative behaviours, so the cold, unemotional and unwilling behaviours associated with old-fashioned ideas of autism would not be so apparent in girls and women. I want to take a closer look at those ideas though. I know lots of autistic people, and I've been in contact with other autists for decades. Whilst many people think of us as being quiet, unsociable people, when we get talking to each other, especially when the subject is our struggles in a non-autistic world, it can be difficult to shut us up. There's 80 odd videos on this channel at present, and every one I make gets feedback from other autistic people. There's no imbalance in the genders in that feedback though. I get the same "you just described me" or "that's what I've been trying to tell someone" comments from men, women, non-binary and trans people. There's never been a topic, even the ones that align quite closely with some of the stereotypes about us, that has attracted a bigger response from a specific gender grouping. When I engage with people on social media, or meet up with other autistic people in real life, which hasn't happened for a while thanks to the pandemic, the story is much the same. There's never an aspect of being autistic that has all the men saying, "Yeah, me too," whilst all the women stare ahead with blank expressions, nor the other way round. In any given grouping, you'll get even responses from everyone in proportion to the gender balance present. Any suggestion that there's a difference in the nature of autistic traits or their distribution based on gender or sexual characteristic appears to be hard to justify. What about the other possibility? That people who were born or brought up as girls behave differently because of social conventions. There's no doubt whatsoever that in most cultures, boys and girls are brought up with different expectations. Even in the 21st century, boys and girls are steered in different directions by our parents, our schools, and even the clothes and toys we're given. Nobody can deny that a great deal of progress has been made towards gender equality, though it's foolish to suggest that the job is done. No one bats an eyelid when we see men competing in baking competitions, or women in the boardroom, but it would still raise eyebrows if a boy were given a My Little Pony for Christmas, or a girl received a Tonka truck. For all the steps towards equality that have been made in the adult world, the expectations of children are years behind. There is still a commonly held view of boys as builders and grafters, and girls as carers and crafters. We allow this to spill into the preconceptions we have about children's behaviour. If a boy likes climbing trees, kicking balls about and roughhousing with his friends, people say, boys will be boys. But when a girl does it, we call her a tomboy and consider her an outlier. Girls who take an interest in science, mathematics or technology often find themselves set apart from the popular crowd, relegated to the category of geek. But if they obsess about boys and being liked, they're accepted as one of the girls. There are, without doubt, differences in the expectations society places on children based on gender. But is there anything in the idea that girls are better at hiding their autistic traits than boys? In a couple of previous videos I've mentioned the statistics gleaned from the 2011 Scottish census, which included questions about autism. One eye-opening revelation was the difference in numbers between diagnosed autists under the age of 25 and those older than 25. There were significantly more young autists than older ones, yet there should, by rights, be around twice the number of autists over 25. Autistic people have always existed, and there's no evidence or even reason to presume there's ever been a change in our numbers. So clearly, the majority of adult autistic people remain undiagnosed. I know hundreds of people who weren't diagnosed until middle age or older. They've gone unnoticed all their lives until they realised how much they have in common with autistic people and started their own journey of discovery. Whilst some choose not to pursue a formal diagnosis for personal reasons, more do than don't. And according to the many diagnostic specialists I've spoken to or read the accounts of, the majority are then formally diagnosed. So, how do so many people go unnoticed for so long? Even considering the progress of autism diagnosis didn't really pick up pace until the early 1990s, you'd still expect there to be far more autistic people to have been identified. The only real explanation is that an awful lot of us are good enough at hiding our autistic natures to pass undetected until we choose to examine why we've had to work so much harder than our peers to keep our heads clear of the tides of society. It's not just women going undetected, it's men too. I've been told by the same diagnosticians I mentioned just now that many of them are seeing at least as many, if not more, women seeking diagnosis than men, and significant numbers of non-binary and trans people too. Many of us believe that the prevalence of autistic minds is equal amongst all people, regardless of the gender we were assigned at birth. In addition, we know that the ratios of non-binary and trans people are higher amongst the autistic population too, along with a greater likelihood that we may be gay, bisexual or otherwise sit outside the heteronormative average. Even those of us who consider ourselves cisgender still frequently note that we've never identified well with the gender roles assigned to us, with many a gentle, caring, sensitive man or go-getting, methodical, competitive woman amongst us. In my opinion, the ideas put forward about there being different kinds of autism based on birth sex, or girls being better at hiding their autism, are a convenient smokescreen for the simple fact that it's easier to spot an autistic child when your expectations of that child are based on gender. When you eliminate those expectations and see boys and girls through untinted lenses, the characteristics and traits of autism are not only the same, they are as common no matter what our biological sex. In fact, if you want to look for a really good indicator that a child may be autistic and worth considering for autism diagnosis, their difficulty in identifying with or conforming to gender stereotypes might actually be a good place to start. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a stylish accessory or shirt with a neurodiversity theme, or you want to support the channel to grow, take a look at the expanding range of Autistic merch, or pledge your support directly by becoming a patron on Patreon like these fine people have done. You can subscribe for new videos every Wednesday on this link here, or you can watch another video on one of these.